Greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to the 1st of April. Welcome to Bank Holiday Monday at Easter. Hope you've had a great day yesterday with whatever you was doing with family or friends, and hope you didn't overindulge on the chocolate. Because if you have, you're probably feeling that you feel like I went out for dinner and did a live stream with Jimmy and Jason, so not too bad. So we're going to start off this week with a viewer's request, and this has been hanging about in the catalogue for a little while, and it's the B-52's. American new wave band, of course. They were formed in Athens, Georgia, in 1976. The original lineup was, of course, the wonderful dulcet tones of Fred Schneider, Kate Pearson, great vocalist, Cindy Wilson, her brother Ricky on guitars, Mr. Keith Strickland on the drums and keyboards. Sadly, in 1985, though, Ricky died of related illness of AIDS, and Strickland switched from drums to lead guitar, and they've had added various members during their career. So, in 2022, they announced that they would embark on a final farewell tour with Casey Sunshine and the band, which was going to last from August 22nd to November 11th, 2022, but the final dates were postponed till January of 2023 because of illness. And they performed their last concert of the tour in their hometown of Georgia, Athens, Georgia, 2023. Following that, though, they embarked on a residencies at the Venetian Las Vegas Paradise in Nevada, which they are continuing to do. They've got some further dates to start this month. 7 albums were released during their career. You'll know which part of their career that I really like. There's always nice tracks on all of them, but some of the albums I'm not as keen on as the others. So if I've put your favourite at the bottom, it's not I hate it, I just prefer others. You know, we all got different preferences and different meanings for it. So, coming in at number 7, we have the 4th album released in 1986. And it was the last album that Ricky Wilson had worked on. He worked on this before he sadly dies, just after it had all been put together. The album is Bouncing Off Satellites. And this was their last album for a little while. It took them 3 years to recover from his death. So on here we got Cindy Wilson on vocals, Kate Pearson on vocals, Fred Schneider on vocals, Ricky Wilson on the guitars, Keith Strickland on the bass. So the first track on here is a little ditty called Summer of Love. I love this. It's a great vocal. You've got Cindy taking the lead and Fred and Kate bringing up the rear, and it's got some great guitar work from the wonderful Ricky Wilson. Great track. Then we have The Girl from Ipanema Goes to Greenland. It's 1986. In come the smoothies. In come all the... It's not new wave. This is more 80s pop. And I just don't like it. I really don't like it. I know a lot of people love that trend, but I think, oh dear. Then we have Housework. The drums, though, remind me... You remember like the drumming in The Reflex by Duran Duran? That's all that... Dum, 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 dum. That's in there. It's okay. I don't mind that one. Detour Through Your Mind. Oh dear. 80s productions, horrible synths, but it has got a great guitar solo from Ricky on it. And I don't mind the guitar solo, but the track, it's just that plastic 80s sound. Then we have Wig. This is fun. I do like the B-52's when they put a fun track on their album. This is one of them highlights. It's really fun. Fred's having a ball on this one. Really good song. Then we have Theme for a Nude Beach. It's alright. Ain't It a Shame? Okay, lots of 80s sound on it, but it's got some really good guitar work from Ricky on that. Juicy Jungle, typical B-52 quirky, a great vocal from Fred. He's got a very distinctive voice, hasn't he? And you know it's a B-52 song. Communicate, this is more like it. This is what I call proper B-52 sound. Pretty good track. She Breaks for Rainbows, synth poppy 80s. Not the best track on here. And it was the last track. Unfortunately, even the B-52s succumb to the 80s production sound. They sort of brought it in on their previous album, and it still got a balance, but this is too heavily for me. It's got some decent, couple of good tracks on it, but out of them all of them, this is the one that I particularly don't like. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 6, we've got the 6th album from 1992 called Good Stuff. Cindy's missing off of this because she went on what she said. She went on a hiatus. In other words, does she say, I can't be bothered to turn up for this? Who knows? But she's not on here. So it's Kate on the vocals, Fred on the vocals. Keith now is doing guitars and keyboards and drum programming. Tracy Warmworth, who's played has played bass on one or two of B-52's and toured with them. Sterling Campbell does some drums, and 3 tracks are done by the wonderful Jeff Porcaro. So the first track on here is Tell It Like It Is, but the last hit is T-I-I-E. Great track. Back to the good old days. It's a great vocal from Kate. Absolutely powerful vocal. Like that one. It's pretty good. Hot Pants Explosion. You know it's a B-52 song, the way that it's put together. The singing from Fred and from Kate. The track, Good Stuff. I wouldn't say it's my favourite track because it's lacking something. Oh yes, it's called Cindy Wilson. As much as they tried to, but it just didn't work on that one. Revolution Earth, my favourite track. It's a little bit different. Great vocal from Kate. Really strong. She had to really go for it without Cindy being there, but she's did a great job on that. Dreamland. I do like this song, but I think it's just a little too long. It's 7.5 minutes long. Cut it short by a couple of minutes and it would have been, I think, a little bit better. I think it loses itself in the middle, but they did bring it back to end on a strong point. Then we have a track called Is That Me, Modine? Solid, very solid sounding B-52's track. You know it's them. The World's Green Laughter, and typical quirky little track. Great vocals. Visions of a Kiss. You know it's B-52's. Fred's vocal, as I've said, it's that distinctive sound. I like that one. Breathing. It's an Also Ran on here. Struggling for an Idea. Bit like Bad Influence. A little bit too long. Goes round in circles. It's not a bad album. It's got a couple of memorable songs, but a lot of them are not as memorable as other songs. And it does lack Cindy. I think the two girls sing well together. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 5, we have the 5th album from 1989, Cosmic Thing. Kate, Fred and Keith. Cindy and the Uptown Horns on Love Shack. First track on here is called Cosmic Thing. Fred at his best. Great track, great backing vocals from the girls. Love that track. Dry Country. Now, this is one of the out tracks that I just don't get on with. It's still hanging on to the 80s sound too much. It's not brilliant. Deadbeat Club. I like this. All three, Fred, Cindy and Kate. Great track. Brilliant. And then, of course, we get the brilliant Love Shack, which is an absolute classic. I do love Fred's vocal on this. It's everyone that loves that track. Fantastic track. Best track on the album. Junebug. It's all right. I'm not jumping around for joy on that one. Then we get Rome, my second favourite track on the album. Good old-fashioned B-52's. Dump all the 80s nonsense. Do a proper track. They did on that one. Bushfire. Great vocals on this. I like that track. Channel Z. Poppy. Too poppy. You know, they're not a pop band to me. They're a new wave band. They were trying to be relevant, I suppose, but it just didn't work for me. Like Topaz, it's okay, nothing special. And Follow Your Bliss, I've never liked the song. Again, it's just too poppy. Okay, much improved on the previous album, but it's still got that poppy sound to it. And a lot of people, this was the best-selling album, but it doesn't mean it's the best album in my books. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 4 is their last album. The 7th was released in 2008 and it's called Funplex. Back up to full strength for this one after Cindy opted out of the previous album, so Fred Schneider's on vocals and cowbell. Don't forget that cowbell. Cindy and Kate on the vocals. Keith is playing guitars, keyboards and programming and bass on one track. Tracy Warmworth again plays bass on a couple of tracks. Zachary Alford and Sterling Campbell share the drumming on this album. Opens up with a great track called Pump. And a great bass line from Tracy. You know, Tracy's toured with these, so she's been around the camp for a little while. It's a great line. Some nice drumming here from Zachary, and the three singers do a great job. It's what I call good old-fashioned B-52's. You knew it was B-52's. Hot Corner. I love this track. Keith does a great job on the guitars. He's, you know, taking over from Ricky was a tough job, and he's done all right, I think, and I know you just know it. Ultraviolet, a great song, my favourite on the album. It's just the singing on it is brilliant. Juliet of the Spirits, lovely harmonies between Kate and Cindy. They always sounded good together. They've got two different tones that you put them together and it's a lovely sound. The title track, Funplex, comes now. I love this. It's got a great beat to it. Really funky. Like that one. Eyes Wide Open. It's a very dancey sort of thing. It's probably the weakest track on the album for me. Love in the Year 3000. It's okay. Deviant Ingredient. Very solid. It's a nice track. Too Much to Think About, classic sounding B-52's as far as I'm concerned. Dancing Now, my second favourite track. I love that riff from Keith, and it's got Fred's distinctive vocal on it, which always gives you a bit of warm heart when you hear Fred. Keep This Party Going, definitely goes back to the old days on this one. Classic sounding B-52's. I think this is a really strong album to go out on. They tried to create the old sound when they started, and they've done a great job. It was great that Cindy come back for this. It's a really, really good album, and I was shocked. And I really do like it, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 3, we have Third Track album from 1983, and it is Whammy. Cindy, Kate, Fred, Ricky and Keith with additional musicians. We've got Ralph Carney on the saxophone and Dave Buck on trumpet. First track is a great track, Legal Tender. They incorporated the new sounds that were available in 1982-83 when they recorded this, and they used it to the best of their abilities. And it's a really good track. It's quirky. It's leaning more towards the poppy sound, but it's still got that core root B-52 sound. Whammy Kiss, even with the drum machine, that it sounds okay. It's a good little song. Songs for a Future Generation. Fred, Cindy and Kate on Fire. Some great little keyboards on there as well. A great little guitar bit from Ricky. Excellent track. Then we have my favourite track on here, Butterbean. Now, the beginning of this, that beat reminds me of the Bangles' Walk Like an Egyptian. It's that sort of feel. It's got that uplift to it. It's an absolute brilliant track, and I love it to death. Then we have Trism. This is where you're sort of the changing from pure new wave into a more poppy, synthy sound, and I think this works well. It's the crossover track. It did work. I like it. Queen of Las Vegas, absolute classic B-52 song. I love that quirky keyboard that you get, the nice little riffs from Ricky. Don't Worry, Yoko Ono. I think this is a bit of a Mickey take of Yoko Ono because the singing on it sounds like a wailing cat, and that's only one way to describe Yoko Ono. It's a quite fun. I don't know how much of a P take it is, but it's quite fun. Big Bird. It's not great. It's too busy. Too much going on. And the trumpet sort of distracts you a little bit, but it's not the best track on the album. Work That Skirt. Some brilliant drumming here from Keith and fans. It's just really, really good. Great track to end the album. Now, I believe the B-52's did try and embrace new technology on this, and they used it very well. Except I think after that they sort of went too far with it. But this album is pretty good, and I do like this one, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, so we're left with two albums. Tough one this was, because they are both, I think, the best albums. So coming in at number 2, we have the debut album, the B-52's. Now playing on here, we have, of course, Kate, Fred, Keith, Cindy and Ricky. Claire, sorry. I love this. Brilliant. It's that quirky keyboard line that keeps coming in and out all through it, and the bass line, absolutely killer bass line this is, and still remains one of my favourite tracks by the B-52's. Just like 52 Girls, great guitar riffs from Ricky, rips through them, and Cindy and Kate just sound brilliant on it. Dance This Mess Around, really good track again. But then we have my favourite, and I'd say this is probably my favourite track ever by the B-52's. It's the brilliant Rock Lobster. 6 minutes and 49 of a vision and some new sounds. I just love the guitar work from Ricky on this. It was something different to come out of America. I mean, Blondie were around, but they didn't take off to start with. But this, it did, and it's an absolute belter for me. It summed up the new sort of music that was coming out of America. Fantastic track. Then we get Lava. Classic Ricky Wilson guitar riffs on this. Sadly missed. He was a very good guitar writer, very influential member of this band, and it's a great track. Then we have Where There's a Moon in the Sky, called The Moon. Good track. Again, dominated by some great Ricky guitar work. Brilliant. Hero Worship. Keith's drumming on this is fantastic. The girls' vocals are fantastic. Second favourite track. It's just great new wave of music. Terrific. Next track is called 6060842. This is really post-punky sound. It really is. It's really heavy for them. It goes very straight and to the point track. And then we have a blip on the album. It's a version of Downtown, made famous by Petula Clark, written by Tony Hatch, who wrote the Crossroads theme, of course. It's not a good version of it. It nearly got in my bad covers, to be quite honest, like I did with Richard. Okay, apart from that, the rest of the album is classic. I play this quite a lot. I do like listening to this one. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. But my number one album is the release from 1980, the second album, and it's the brilliant Wild Planet. Kate, Fred, Keith, Cindy and Ricky. Starts off with Party of Out of Bounds, that great bass line, great vocal from Kate. Whoa, love that track. Brilliant track. Dirty Back Road. The harmonies between Kate and Cindy on this are lovely. They all play well on this. Very good musicians as well. Running Around. Got that distinctive Fred vocal. It's like just lovely vocal from Fred. Cindy and Kate sort of weaving Fred's vocal. It just makes it a great track. Give Me Back My Man. Bass line's good. Strong track. Fine vocal from Kate. Then we have Private Idaho. My favourite track on here. It's definitely top 5 tracks. Great guitar work from Ricky on this. I just think this song sums up the music at the time. There wasn't that much great coming out of America, but this is one of them tracks and one of these bands that were starting to make noises. Absolutely brilliant track. Devil in My Car. It's got lots of punk elements in it, especially the vocal from Fred. It's a very gritty punk vocal. Ricky is just killing the riffs on that. Brilliant. Quiche Lorraine. Yeah, a track called Quiche Lorraine. It's a pretty good track. I love Rick's guitar playing on it. Another quirky keyboard run with a great vocal from Fred. Strobe Light. It's a bit funky, this is. Fred's vocal's great. Again, it's got a little bit of punk element in there as well. Then we have 53 Miles West of Venus. A little bit different. They were sort of experimenting the sound even then. I think it works. It's a very good track to end the album. I think this album is terrific. There's not one bad track on it. It's really, they moved forward from the debut album. That was great, but they took it to the next level with this. And, you know, when it comes to Whammy, there's a change the sound. But the first 3 albums are always going to be my favourite. It's a solid alternative new wave album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. So there we go. Bit of B-52's for you. As you tell, I prefer their early stuff than their later stuff, but I do like their last album as well because it does sound like old style B-52's. Okay, coming up next, it's a brand new show called A Perfect Side, where I will take an album, listen to it, and then go which side I prefer. And we're going into territory for me as well that I've never go down. The first one we're going to look at is a Coldplay album. You're shocked. I know you are. I can see a lot of you falling out your chairs. And I'm going to try and just find the best side on Milo Xylo. So join me for that. Be a lot of fun. Bye for now.